You mentioned some of the opportunities that we find in Africa. Are there some critical challenges as well that in your interaction with a lot of these entrepreneurs that you have groomed from the scratch up to here, you've talked about the mindset, which means we need a paradigm shift. Beyond the paradigm shift, beyond the mindset, beyond all these, are there some other critical challenges that as Africa prepares for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area? And I'm asking this question against the backdrop of the fact that majority of our SMEs are in the informal sector.
Correct.
What are some of the critical challenges that you've identified? And what do you anticipate to be the solutions that we can provide to these businesses? And this is important because the SMEs are the bedrock of the economies of Africa.
Very true.
So what are the challenges? And from your experience, what are some of the recommended solutions that you can provide to our SMEs?
For Africa to burst out and occupy the space that is ripe, three things must be addressed. I've talked about the business mindset. That's very difficult. It's easier said than done. Because a business mindset is seen from the way you change your actions the next day. How many programs in Africa today exist that make a young man who has been idle and totally listless and saying, I'm finished, to wake up in the morning and just say, I lost time. I lost time, I should have done this before. So we need powerful, realistic business mindset solutions that can change a person from a despondent human being to a person who says, I'm living in the best of times. But that's number one. Number two, you also need to work on the environment where these people operate. Because the environment where our people operate has got a lot of other limitations. One of them is corruption. Corruption that can make the environment totally unleveled. You're trying to pay your taxes according to the law. Somebody is circumventing the taxes, and that gives you competition challenge. You're trying to make things go the way they are supposed to do by delivering quality as specified in the label that you're putting on your product. Somebody puts that label, but the content is different and it's adulterated. But corruption allows him to be in the market space. If we don't fix corruption, it's costly, it's difficult. It is what you call moving against the wind as you try to win. Because the fellows who have got the money and are able to buy the corrupt leadership are going to make it very tough for this genuine entrepreneur who says, I want to think long term. This is my continent. I'm going to succeed here. And I must succeed with honesty. So the continent has got a challenge of its environment in terms of corruption. It has got some challenges in terms of efficiency of public systems, where you can move in and take sometimes forever to clear your goods when you have imported items. Right. All those kind of things, inefficiencies, corruptions, they hinder the opportunities I've just talked about. But even when you deal with all those things, the third thing that we need Africa to embrace today is having technical skills, whichever space you go into. In other words, the days of producing anything that just works are over. Anybody today must realize that the competition has become so powerful that you don't need to see your competitor in your neighborhood or even in your country. A competitor is serving your market space, but is doing it from Singapore. He's serving your market space and is doing it from Korea. And if you cannot have the skills and the technology to match that kind of a competition today, you're in trouble. So technology, technical skills, ability to keep on sharpening and improving. You know, Africa, we used to get used to, when you have a grinding mill, the stone that, there's one stone on the ground, and then there's a small one on top. You use that one as technology to work forever. Those days are finished. If it worked yesterday, what can you do to make the thing grind a tin within 30 minutes? But we have used the working thing to grind a tin over 2 days, and you continue like that. That's not the world today. The iPhone 3, the iPhone 2, when it came out, it was like, that's the end of innovation. What else can you improve? We are now on iPhone 15. 16 is coming. Every 12 months, it is time to get something better and better. And if you don't do it, the computer is doing it. You will be wiped out. So Africa needs to appreciate, quickly deal with the mindset and get people to change and drive themselves and open the doors themselves and go out there and compete. Number two, give them the technical skills and let them acquire the technical skills as well as the technology. And whenever people hear the word technology, they think of a lot of money. There are a lot of functional technologies that can be accessed within the reach of anybody interested to access them. And then, of course, the environment that comes from our leadership and our governance of our own economies in Africa.
I mean, these three key things you have mentioned is extremely important. But I don't want us to belabor the point of the mindset. I think I want us to dwell a little bit more on the inefficiencies and the corruptions and also the technology, or could you put it, innovation. Let me take you to the corruption bit. In Africa, when we hear corruption, we are always targeting politicians, people in power, people in government, and all of that. Now you are telling us that even within business, the entrepreneur can be corrupt. And that can militate against the growth of enterprise development on our continent, which will invariably affect the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that we are talking about here. Charles, can you drum home a little bit? Give us some, you've given us some already in terms of invoicing and all of that. What are some of the other elements of corruption that the entrepreneur in Africa need to pay attention to?
Let me put it this way. If you're in business, you've got stakeholders that you must make happy to work with you. It is almost inconceivable to deliver a solution 100% on your own. You need suppliers. You need your financiers. You need a government system that supports you. You also need a good human resource. All these areas here, you must be able to handle them with honesty. But do you know that you can have issues with your suppliers and begin to come up with some shoddy ways of doing things? You are supposed to do a paving of a given road. And it is in the bidding document that you gave in to win that job, you specified the kind of thickness of the pavers and the kind of hardness of that paver. You now work with your suppliers and say, you know what, don't mind. You are the one going to supply me these pavers, but you just reduce the quality of the cement. So long as the volume is there, just bring me that one. They will not notice. After all, a paver can take about 4 or 5 years before you can notice that's a bad paver. That is corruption. The supplier will now lower the price at which they are supplying you that item so that you execute that assignment. But the truth is, you've cheated on what you promised to do. And it's a matter of time, somebody will discover that a road that was done by company A has taken much longer than a road that was done by you. Because when you're dealing with your suppliers, an element of corruption was prevailing. We also go in and try to think that we can go and corrupt a banker. A banker is telling you that we will not lend to you to refinance a bad loan somewhere. You go and tell him, please don't bring this up in your analysis and when you're taking my application for approval. Just say I'm going to use it for expanding my hotel. So please let my application be reading expansion of the hotel. You and the bank officer have just done something extremely dangerous for your own good. But it's a corrupt issue. You have told that officer to break the rules so as to give you money, and you do something which is not consistent with what they would have otherwise done. Extremely dangerous. Similarly, you may find that you've had a restaurant and you had a huge occasion where you were entertaining people who attended a wedding. Some food remained. Some of the food is getting into a bad state. But you don't want to say, give it to now a level where it can be consumed, either it's for pigareo, it's for something else. You still want it to be consumed by human beings, and then you leave the price as if it is fresh food. That's a work ethic issue. It is something on corruption is still. You are picking this money corruptly. You are picking this money without value for what you have delivered. So these are elements that we need to begin to drive in as Africa, where you yourself, you are the first evaluator of what you are doing and asking yourself, if I were the one consuming this thing, would I be happy to take it? Would I come back again the next day because I enjoyed what I ate? Would I recommend my own friends and relatives to come and consume the same item? If you put in yourself in that kind of a space, then they have taken care of that concept called customer care. Because customer care is about repeat business. It's about good referrals. It's about happy referrals coming in and giving you more ideas. But you chose to take the short route to access an easy resource. And then you pay the price. That's why it will be very difficult to get what we call cross-generational brands in our continent. But these things are doable and they can be done because at Enterprise Uganda, we have seen it happen.